Some mornings you wake with a knot of uncertainty tightening behind your ribs, and every blink recalls imperfect yesterdays. The hush before sunrise stretches long, holding a mirror to honest struggle and asking whether you will face it or flee. In that stillness, you sense the constant presence of the Almighty settling over the room like gentle mist, unshaken by your restless heart. His unfailing faithfulness has escorted countless generations into daylight, and this dawn is no exception. He whispers an offer of daily renewal, promising to trade the stale air of regret for breath that tastes of new beginnings. Grateful surrender stirs within as you lay aside hurried plans and open your hands for direction far wiser than your own. Scripture echoes the pledge. His compassions are new every morning. Lamentations 3:2-3, dawn itself declares that no night can exhaust His mercy or outlast His promise. What burden will you entrust to such love? And which hope will you guard with steadfast confidence? Now, as your heart grows still, you step into. You inhale slowly and acknowledge the bruised places inside the hurried word that wounded a friend, the deadline you missed, the silent envy that flickered when another seemed more accomplished. Nothing is hidden from the gaze that measures mountain peaks and counts sparrow feathers. So you set aside the mask of competence and let the H surface. Like damp earth after night rain, your soul releases the trapped heat of self-condemnation and drinks the first cool breeze of grace. You confess each failing, not to rehearse guilt, but to expose it to kind light. A Psalm 34 we read, "The Lord is close to the broken-hearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." His nearness is not poetic sentiment, it is oxygen for a suffocating conscience, a steady hand beneath trembling knees. You notice the dependable rhythm of lungs and realize how often you treat air as ordinary. Each breath testifies that imperfect days still unfold under perfect sovereignty. Gathering the disappointment that paints dawn dull, you place it like a fragile vase into hands skilled at remaking form. The potter never discards marred clay, he spins the wheel again, moistening surfaces with living water until new contours emerge. Weakness becomes the doorway through which unmatched power enters, and cracks you feared now form channels where grace can flow. You exhale, trusting the process that refuses to waste even the clay's former shape. Outside, a timid bird sends its first trill across the courtyard, delicate yet bold enough to promise sunrise even while clouds linger. The sound mirrors your spirit tentative worship rising from flawed ground toward flawless majesty. With each note your perspective tilts from self-scrutiny to holy vision. And you begin to believe that today can become a testament of restoration rather than a ledger of mistakes. Gratitude swells like warm light along the horizon, and you thank God for unseen protections woven through yesterday and for gentle corrections prepared for this new hour. Now your thoughts turn toward those you wounded or neglected. You picture their faces in the softening glow and ask God to shower the same mercy upon them that He lavishes upon you. If conversation is needed, you request words seasoned with humility. If silence is wiser, you ask for timing attuned to heaven's cadence. Your plea is simple. Let love overwrite blame. Let truth replace self-defense. Let likeness to Christ speak louder than apologies rehearsed in fear. Finally, you spread today's itinerary, meetings, chores, messages. like shards on velvet before the throne. Perfection is no longer your idol. Partnership is your aim. The Spirit does not demand flawlessness before walking beside you. He walks so your footsteps learn steady cadence. You breathe again, deeper now, sensing that the path ahead, though uneven, has been quietly consecrated. The struggle you acknowledged becomes an altar where grace starts its work, and you rise with steadfast confidence, ready to greet imperfect hours in the company of a perfect God. Morning light brushes your face, and you welcome it as a pledge that holy strength will not fade. You rise from the altar of admitted weakness into a dawn that seems to breathe with you. The ceiling glows faint amber, yet before sunlight reaches your window, invisible hands have already traced promise across the sky. Each heartbeat drums proof that there is someone beside every pulse. The holy companion who whispered galaxies into spin and now attends to the flutter of your eyelashes. Clouds slide eastward, slow and sure. Like banners announcing royal arrival, the hush inside the room mirrors the steady patience of eternal watchfulness. You linger, noticing the subtle rhythm of chest and lungs and realizing you never generate a single breath alone. Even mistakes confessed moments ago rest now beneath a blanket of nearness, so steady you could build an entire life upon it. In that certainty, you venture silently through early memories, hospital corridors where machines clicked in sterile light, classrooms where voices rose around you, kitchen tables still warm with stories and tea. You had thought yourself unaccompanied in many of those scenes, yet hindsight glimmers with quiet footprints matching yours. Scripture affirms what hindsight discovers: I will never leave you nor forsake you. Hebrews 13:7-5. This vow is not poetic padding. It is the architecture of existence, supporting every beam in the house of your days. When doubts shout, this promise whispers louder, steady as the earth beneath your feet. The guarantee does not flutter with circumstances. It abides when laughter rings and when tears sting. Even as planets whirl, he remains within arm's reach of your size. Realizing this, you unclench the plan for the morning and ask how to cooperate with a presence already at work in every hallway you will walk. You picture the commute, the inbox, the child who will spill juice, the colleague who tends sarcasm like a sharp-edged tool. Instead of replaying potential frustrations, you dress each scene with the cloak of divine company. When traffic thickens, you will feel the steering wheel beneath fingers, steadied by the one who charted constellations. When criticism lands, your pulse will still align with a heartbeat older than oceans, inviting calm rebuttal or holy silence. You decide to practice awareness, pausing at elevator doors to breathe a quick thank you, turning thoughts into whispered dialogue while stirring soup. Letting sunset flakes on office glass remind you that the same eyes beholding Orion now watch your spreadsheet evolve. This habit is not escapism. It is partnership, a mutual walk in the garden long after Eden's gate closed. Night will come again, and clouds may gather thick. Yet even shadows cannot annul the companionship that saturates this moment. So you anchor the truth with a simple prayer. Stay audible to me. Your request is less about volume and more about attention. Ears tuned to footfalls of grace across ordinary tiles, eyes alert to roadside lilies preaching quiet sermons. You ask that every alarm bell of anxiety be met with the counter chime of presence. Every temptation with the stern warmth of eyes that see better paths. As daylight finally spills over the sill, you rise, not alone, but attended, assigned, commissioned. With steady breath you walk toward the tasks, waiting like unopened letters, convinced that lines of perfect love already address each envelope. The day begins, and you move within it as one never abandoned. You stand now at the edge of this newborn morning, eyes lifting from your unsteadiness toward the unwavering character that keeps sunrise on schedule. Beyond constant presence waits unfailing faithfulness, a reliability that cannot fracture. The orb creeping over rooftops answers an ancient decree uttered before humanity could measure time. You sense that covenant in the streetlights flicking off, the rooster's stubborn crow, the surprised hush of dew. Your worries shrink beside a loyalty older than calendars, enduring as granite ridges that cradle the valley below. Think of the chapters already written, childhood afternoons, bright with laughter, sleepless teen nights where questions outnumbered stars, valleys of adulthood where news arrived like cold rain. Through each era a single thread glimmered, a father who never revised his intention to cherish you. Psalm 109 across generations his constancy spans like mountain ranges. Unmoved by cultural tremors or rulers' rise, your small story is stitched into that enduring tapestry. Memories line up, scholarships granted, illnesses eased, friendships restored after silence. Each milestone engraved with the same inscription: I was there, and I will be tomorrow. The shoreline teaches the lesson daily waves retreat only to return, tracing assurance across sand. Likewise, God withdraws seasons of comfort not to abandon, but to cultivate deeper goodness beneath the surface. Even petitions that seemed unheard have fostered wisdom you now harvest. Nights when anxiety rattled your bones became classrooms, where peace learned to pulse from hidden wells. Provision did not always resemble abundance. Often it was the quiet durability of hope when resources thinned, or counsel arriving moments before a costly choice. Reliability sometimes wears disguise, because remembrance fuels trust. You pause and voice 3 moments when faithful guidance rewrote impending loss. With each recollection, shoulders loosen, posture straightens beneath invisible armor woven from yesterday's rescues. You ask for keen memory that refuses amnesia when new storms gather. Collect these recollections like river stones and keep them where fingers may trace their smoothness on hurried afternoons. Let habitual gratitude become your morning exercise, an antidote to dread, a magnifier of promise. Thanksgiving rises not from naive optimism, but from tested history as sure as seasons turning. Now you face the unknown itinerary of coming hours. Meetings may shift, traffic may snarl, a diagnosis may arrive, yet none of these variables can sabotage the unbroken pact scripted by flawless love. You pray wide each step through corridors of your reliability. Intercept any thought hinting you might fail. With that petition, you gather today's appointments into His capable keeping. You set your pace to the rhythm of fidelity that never misses a beat. Leaving the quiet room, you carry evidence that beyond imperfect days stands a God who is always, irrevocably, good. You step onto the balcony and feel dawn's first breeze kiss your forehead, cooler than night, yet tinged with warmth forecasting full daylight. Each inhale tastes of beginnings, the previous sunset could not cancel. You close your eyes and sense fresh oxygen coursing through veins, pushing aside stale worries that slept beside you. The horizon wears soft coral, as though heaven brushes a new canvas expressly for your awakening. And you realize that the artist never recycles yesterday's palette. He paints today with undiscovered hues. The thought stirs deep desire. Let inner rooms be aired, closets of memory swept, attitudes laundered in gentle light. 2 Corinthians 4:6. Though your outer frame tires, the inner core is revived day by day. Divine vitality infiltrates cells with quiet certainty, turning fatigue into sacred fuel. Renewal is not cosmetic. It is a core renovation where motives are stripped and foundations reinforced. You picture spirit, wind moving through your consciousness, lifting old cobwebs of resentment and depositing seeds of patience where impatience once rooted. In that breeze, ambitions realign, status yields to service, speed bows to steady faithfulness, and comparison dissolves like morning mist. Now you invite renewal into practical rhythms. You savor the first sip of water, imagining it cleansing bloodstream and thinking, let wisdom hydrate conversations today. You stretch arms skyward, bones clicking back into place, and whisper, align my decisions with your uprightness. Breakfast becomes communion. Every bite reminds you nourishment is a gift, not a right. Steering appetite toward gratitude rather than entitlement. Even the wardrobe selection becomes declaration. Clothe me with humility softer than cotton, resilience warmer than wool. These micro-liturgies knit awareness into routine, proving that transformation need not wait for retreat centers. It thrives amid clinking dishes and hurried laces. With phone in hand, you pause before alerts flood screen. Instead of scrolling first, you recite a short vow. Nothing enters my attention unfiltered through grace. Notifications will still arrive, but their power to dictate mood diminishes when you choose to receive them inside sanctuary consciousness. You mark breaks in your schedule, 10-minute walks, elevator rides, hand washing, to function as mini fountains where mind can rinse fatigue throughout the day. Evening might bring challenges unknown, yet these small wells promise replenishment long after sunrise's glow fades. Finally, you surrender tomorrow's uncertainties, believing that daily renewal is renewable. An infinite subscription paid by Calvary, delivered with each rotation of earth. You speak blessing over muscles, neurons, relationships, finances, every sphere awaiting refreshment. The balcony breeze strengthens, lifting a strand of hair like a benediction. You smile, convinced that aging calendars cannot corrode hope sealed in eternal vigor. Turning back inside, you carry dawn's scent in your clothing and its promise in your heartbeat, ready to pour fresh courage into every room you enter. You return indoors and notice how morning's sheen settles on ordinary objects. The mug, the keys, the unopened notebook, each seeming to whisper that possession is stewardship, not ownership. Gratitude wells, not as polite courtesy, but as the clear stream that springs when you recognize nothing in your orbit is self-earned. Even the breath that fogs your window belongs first to the giver. You simply receive and release. A quiet smile forms as you remember how tightly you clutched yesterday's plans, knuckles pale with self-reliance. Today, instead of guarding outcomes, you open your palms, letting the pulse of surrender sink with every heartbeat. A Philippians 46:7, present your requests with thanksgiving, and peace beyond logic will guard your heart and mind. Gratitude is the gateway through which divine calm enters, escorting anxiety back to the shadows. You list blessings aloud. The roof, the friend who texted encouragement, the lesson buried in last week's disappointment, and each acknowledgement loosens another knot of control. Thanksgiving is more than etiquette. It is spiritual resistance against the lie that you must engineer your own safety. As praise rises, fear unravels. You picture worries as autumn leaves in an updraft, swirling higher until they vanish into the blue where God governs wind. Trust grows muscular when fed a steady diet of remembrance. Now you place today's agenda on the altar of surrendered will. Emails, budgets, medical results, a crucial conversation. Each becomes an offering. You ask not for perfect execution, but for holy orchestration. Inviting God to delete meetings if they hinder compassion, to lengthen pauses if someone needs listening ears, to reroute travel if another path harbors hidden mercy. This relinquishment is not passive resignation, it is active partnership, trading narrow imagination for creative providence. You vow to interpret interruptions as potential guidance instead of obstacles, and to greet delays as possible shelters from unseen harm. Surrender also extends to relationships. You bless family members whose decisions grieve you, surrendering the urge to manipulate. You bless colleagues whose success stings pride, surrendering comparison. You bless yourself, flawed yet beloved, surrendering harsh autopsy of mistakes. In that blessing you discover gratitude's twin freedom. No longer chained to outcomes, you breathe deeper, shoulders rising like sailcloth ready for spirit wind. To anchor this posture, you craft a simple refrain. All is gift, and I return it gladly. You plan to whisper it before pressing send, before signing receipts, before giving counsel. Each repetition will hammer gratitude into your reflexes, forging a life that spends more energy thanking than grasping. By the time sun crests fully, surrender has become your compass, gratitude your map, guiding you through corridors of appointment and chance encounter alike. You close your eyes once more, envisioning the day ahead as a river. Instead of damming its flow, you choose to drift upon it, trusting the current love steers. Stones may lurk beneath, rapids may roar, yet the one who carved the riverbed remains at the helm. Peace. That quiet sovereign settles within, and you rise lighter, ready to live generosity you cannot exhaust. You step beyond the threshold, shoes meeting pavement still glistening from night dew, and discover that courage feels less like roaring and more like a steady heartbeat aligned with heaven's cadence. The world may lurch with headlines and deadlines, yet you carry a calm center no siren can shake. Such confidence is not arrogance. It is quiet certainty that the one who accompanies also equips. You remember valleys where you feared collapse, yet you did not crumble. Unseen hands fortified bones and hope alike, and that memory becomes your spine as you enter traffic where engines drone and horns jab impatience into the air. You grip the wheel lightly, steering with composure born from surrender, hearing an inner whisper, keep pace with peace. You choose measured words at the coffee counter, offer a nod of kindness to a stranger, and sense how assurance stabilizes atmospheres. Mid-morning presents its first challenge. A project delayed, a temper flared, Instead of absorbing chaos, you breathe slowly, planting feet as trees root against wind. The storm does not define the forest. Deep roots do. Confidence tells you resources are supplied before needs appear. So you search less for escape and more for wisdom hidden inside difficulty. You ask silent questions. What virtue can grow here? Which gift can you contribute? Answers are light like small birds on open hands. Ideas, patience. A clarifying phrase that cools tension, until colleagues notice strength without strain and wonder what spring feeds such composure. By noon, sunlight gleams on office glass, and the reflection reminds you that steadfastness also requires rest. You take a brief walk, letting muscles stretch while inner dialogue continues. Gratitude, petition, listening. Nothing extravagant, simply the unbroken conversation that knots trust tighter. You realize confidence multiplies when shared, so you send a brief message to encourage a friend facing surgery, turning assurance into mercy. Faith, once internal, becomes architecture others can lean upon. In the bustle of afternoon meetings, you sit upright, shoulders relaxed, eyes bright with expectancy. When proposals collide or data fails, you regard the void as canvas. Instead of fretting, you pose brave questions that open windows. What can we learn? Where is the opportunity no one has named? This posture of possibility diffuses tension. Colleagues breathe easier. Creativity stirs. You are not the hero. You are a lamppost drawing its current from unseen grid, quietly illuminating the path. Afternoon shadows lengthen over spreadsheets and decisions. A door seems to close on a plan you valued, yet you refuse panic. If God always is, then setbacks are detours toward wider vistas. You pivot, adjust timeline, hold vision lightly. Hope remains buoyant because its anchor lies beyond circumstances. You recall small stones of faithfulness collected earlier. Feel their weight inside your pocket and smile at how remembrance steadies forward motion. Evening approaches. You gather tools, switch off lights, and step into amber streets. Confidence remains, not as adrenaline, but as settled conviction that tomorrow's dawn will meet the same eternal goodness. You settle into bed later, heart slow, mind uncluttered, because steadfast confidence has patterned every hour with calm expectancy. Imperfect days will return, yet perfection himself will meet them, and you will walk again in unshakable assurance. Sit quietly now and trace the thread woven through this prayer. Struggle named, presence felt, faithfulness remembered, renewal breathed, gratitude offered, confidence embraced. Ask which moment ahead most needs the calm you carry. Picture that scene bathing in warm light. See your voice gentle, your eyes bright with trust. Thank God for mercies already planted like seeds along the path, waiting to bloom at the appointed time. Inhale promise, exhale worry. For the next breath, rest in holy stillness, letting silence preach hope. Like sunrise after night, remain there until peace settles deep within.